Welcome everyone to the second week of Healthy for Life. I see we've got 44 on the webinar today, 45, we're still getting people on. So I'm so glad you're all here with me again. And the first week didn't scare you away. I hope that this last week was a good one for you. And this week we're going to talk about healthy eating. So let me get that started. So healthy eating, what is it? And sometimes, you know the answer to that question in a general sense, but you don't know what the answer is to the question in the sense of your personal life. So that's what we're going to explore a little bit today. So to kind of get us started off on the right foot, I want you to think about a healthy food that you enjoy, that you truly like to eat. And that's going to be different for everyone. And if you want to share it in the chat box so other people can see, then I would love that. Healthy food that I really enjoy. I really love greens, cooked greens. And I have ever since I was a little kid. I don't know if it's because my mom had a garden when I was growing up, but I've always loved cooked spinach, and we just had broccoli rabe and some pasta earlier this week in our house, and I just love that. That's something that I love the taste, and I look forward to it, and it makes me feel good. Avocados, fresh peas from the garden, beet greens, snap peas, berries, and broccoli, lettuce from the garden, oatmeal, roasted broccoli, roasted vegetables, you guys. Seriously. Salmon, most fruit, salmon, chickpeas. Yeah. So the whole point of this little exercise is to get your mind going that direction, because when you think about healthy eating, so often we think about deprivation and having to eat lettuce if you don't like lettuce, and all of those kinds of things. But I am going to float the idea that healthy eating is actually an exciting thing. It's something that you can look forward to. It's something you can get better at. It's something that can broaden your diet and your horizons. So hopefully this is something you can get excited about today. So let's take just a moment to reflect on our week. If you have your food log, maybe just take that, grab that, and take a look at it. And if you have your weight chart and you've taken your weight already for the second week, please feel free to fill that out during this time as well. So the question about the food log is, were you able to fill it out each day? And that's a yes or no question, right? And we're not attaching judgment to that necessarily, but just, were you able to fill it out each day? And when you look at the foods that you ate, how much of that would you consider to be quote unquote healthy? And then just make a note about how you feel like you did this week. And it's again, asking for a judgment, but it's going to be unique to each of us. So, whatever it is about this last week that stands out to you, if you enjoyed tracking your food, if you felt like tracking your food made a difference in how you were eating, if there was anything that got in the way of tracking your food that you feel like you might need to focus on, just whatever first comes to mind. It doesn't have to be the perfect response or anything like that. Does it count if you tried to go back and fill it in the next day? I sure hope so, because I ended up doing that. And let me tell you, I got a couple of days behind, and it is hard to remember what you ate, especially when you kind of graze as you go through the day. That was definitely a learning experience for me this week. It definitely counts if you go back and fill it out. You don't do it on the exact day, for sure. Yep, I forgot about it too. My strategy was because I've told you guys, I'm a pen and ink girl. I like to do it that way. It makes sense to me. I like to have the book in my hand. So I left my book out on the kitchen table, right where I would see it. And even with that, and with me, it wasn't that I forgot. It was that I looked at the book and I said, I don't feel like doing that right now, even though I had time. So that's definitely a barrier that I'm going to have to look at this week with my food and fitness log, is how do I get over I remembered, I looked at it, I saw it, and I just deliberately chose not to do it. So probably different for each of you what it is for you this week. Yeah. All right. So this is everyone's favorite thing to do, calorie goal setting, right? So we had the question last week, does that mean we have to eat 1,200 calories every day or whatever? This is the background on that question. And if you've never done this before, I've included a link on your slides for a good, reliable way to go and calculate how many calories you need. So you can click on that link, you enter your age, your gender, and if you're trying to lose weight or not, if you want to. But what we're really looking at is your baseline. So RMR, you might be wondering what that means on the slide. RMR is your resting metabolic rate. So that means if you did really no activity, you were pretty much sedentary all day long and didn't really move around a whole lot, that is a resting metabolic rate. So when you're looking at this calorie calculator and you're calculating how many calories you need, you're going to come up with a resting metabolic rate, and then you're going to add in your activity level. And those two things together are how many calories you need in a day to maintain, theoretically, to maintain your weight. So that's what we're looking for. So if my estimated resting metabolic rate is 1,300 calories, and my resting metabolic rate plus activity factor is 2,150 calories, what is a good goal for me to lose weight? Does anyone know the answer to that question? You probably will have to, I see the note that nothing happens when you click on the link. You probably are going to have to copy it and put it into your browser. What if your activity changes by day? So your activity factor is on average. So if you say are very active 5 days a week, then that's what you're going to put in. That's what you're going to select when you're selecting your activity factor, and it gives an average calorie level. So does anybody know what a good goal is for, if this was mine, what a good calorie goal was for me to lose weight? Less than 2,100. I see. Yes, you're reminding me of my 13-year-old son right now. That is absolutely true, though. Less than 2,150 calories, right? Exactly. Because in order to lose weight, really what you're trying to look at is creating a calorie deficit. And there's all kinds of conversation that happens around this. If strictly calories is the best thing to calculate, if you do points, if you do fat grams, if you do protein. Like I talked about last time, I'm going to leave that up to you how you want to do that. And I'm just referring to it as calories as a measure of what you're taking in, the energy that you're taking in, as versus the energy that your body needs. You can do carbs instead of calories, exactly. 1,500, 1,650, those are good guesses. What I would recommend is 500 calories less than that. Right? So 2,150 minus 500 calories. So to lose weight, you must take in less energy, since we don't like the word calories, less energy than you take in. So you have to take in less energy than you expend. There we go. That's better. So if you eat 2,000 calories and then you subtract out the 1,500 calories you need for your metabolism and that you use for your activity, it can go, so 2,000 calories. If you eat 2,000 calories, but what you really need is 1,500 calories, then that's a 500 calorie gain in that particular day. If you eat 1,500 calories and you need 2,000 calories, then that's a 500 calorie loss. And then of course I've got Calvin, because this is not super exciting, but critical. And Hobbs says, what's that cereal you're eating? And Calvin says, it's my new favorite, chocolate frosted sugar bombs. And Calvin says, have a taste. And Hobbs says, thank you. And then Hobbs goes, oh, it's so sweet. Oh. And Calvin says, oh, they're actually kind of bland until you scoop sugar on them. I kind of resemble that remark a little bit. Can't see my little food. There it is. So I'm going to go a little far. So weight loss is easy. Did you notice the title on this slide? Weight loss is easy. Because on the next slide, the title is Said No One Ever. And we talked about this last time. We're going to reiterate it. And you probably have realized it now that you've tracked your food. Losing weight is not easy. And one of my favorite sentences in the whole world to address the question on the chat, is it proven that a calorie deficit alone, all things remaining equal, will produce weight loss? This is what I'm going to say, is human metabolism is notoriously resistant to simple math. So what we're looking for here is a place to start, right? We're looking for a place to start, and then we're looking for how your body responds to that. So that's why with the food and fitness log, we're going to progress this week into doing serving sizes and optionally calories, because we're definitely doing calories next week, because we need to know what we're taking in. We need to have some sort of a measurement of what we think might be about what we need each day. And then we need to compare that to, am I losing weight? Am I not losing weight? Am I maintaining weight? So that we can fine tune that a little bit, because human metabolism is notoriously resistant to simple math, right? There's no such thing as an average person. You all are individuals. You all have different needs. You all have different lifestyles. So as far as the question, is it proven that a calorie deficit alone, all things remaining equal, will produce weight loss? Yes, it is. If you were in a bubble and we could control all things and make sure they were all the same, and we decreased how many calories you were getting, you would lose weight to a certain extent. Because again, each person is individual. Even if we did that in a bubble and we controlled all the stuff that we could, we can't control what's happening inside of your body so much. So the quality of your calories matters just as much as the quantity of your calories. When you look at that food and fitness log, think about what the quality is of the calories that you're taking in, because 200 calories of broccoli is not the same as 200 calories of jelly beans. It's not the same in how your body metabolizes it. It's not the same in the benefits or lack thereof that it gives to your body. Start to think about what healthy swaps you can make to keep the amount of food that you eat the same, but decrease the calories. That's an interesting question, isn't it? So I want you to look at this, and I'm going to see if I can share this for you. Look at these two plates. Same amount of food, right? On the surface, same amount of food. But the difference in the calories down underneath there. What do you think she changed between the two plates? Can you tell? Less chicken, less dressing, remove some seeds and cheese, oil and fat. Yeah, see, you knew. So if you scroll down, and that's why I put the link in so you all can get in there and take a look at this, because you can see the difference. There's a cup of cooked pearl barley in the first one. There's a half a cup in the second one. It's very interesting how it's the same amount of food, but the calories is so much less. Look at this one. right? So what decreased on this one from one to the next? Yeah, decrease the amount of oats. Yeah, took out the raisins and put in blueberries instead. Dried fruit is a concentrated source of calories. Fewer chia seeds. Yep, exactly. You're getting the idea here. What about this one? A little bit less salmon, fewer noodles. Yeah, there's veggie noodles in there. Those look like zoodles, don't they? They look like zucchini noodles, which by the way are delicious if you've never tried them. Yeah, you're getting the idea. And when you look at these, which plate maybe looks more appetizing? Is a good question, right? The plate with more color looks more appetizing to me. Because you're adding more color to it. Yeah. So if you want to, you can go to her website and you can explore this. You can explore this some more because this gives you some really good ideas about when you're putting together your plate for your meal, how you can still have the same volume of food without the same amount of calories. And that's really going to help you when we start to decrease the calories so that you don't get so hungry because you'll have the same volume of food that's getting taken in. So hopefully this is starting to put the framework up to you, what for the Healthy for Life program we really consider to be healthy eating. So what's the definition of a diet? I shared it last time. A diet is a lifelong way of eating that supports the best health for you. That's what we are going for. If you want to think about this as being a diet, this is a lifelong way of eating that supports the best health for you, which means the things on those plates are going to be a little bit different for each person, depending on what your needs are. And that's why you need to educate yourself. Nobody can do it for you. You can't read it from a book. We can't just supply. I mean, we can give you starting places as far as recipes go, but you really have to pay attention to your body and how it responds and how you feel in order to find the diet that works for you. So focus on things that you like to eat. What were those things that came to your mind when you said, what are healthy foods that I like to eat? Whole grains, fruits and veggies, beans, nuts, fish, lean protein, low-fat dairy, all of that stuff, you know, that's the prescribed quote unquote healthy diet, food pyramid. Most of you know what that is, but how does it look for you? This is how I describe for my children how to put together your meals. So you're looking for a variety of healthy foods each day. You're not trying to, sorry about that. Who has a house phone anymore? I do. Who didn't turn off the ringer? I didn't. Sorry about that. So when you're thinking about how to put together your meals, this is a really simple way to think about it because you want to have variety. So think about if you're going to make yourself a snack, make sure the snack has 2 food groups in it. If you're going to make yourself a breakfast, make sure it has 3 food groups in it. If you're going to make yourself lunch or dinner, it should have 4 or more food groups in it, right? In that way, when you're thinking about food groups, you don't just have an apple or you don't just have a glass of milk. You're looking, that kind of helps to build in that variety into what you're putting on your plate. And as we get into this calorie counting, the temptation really is to say, I know how much calories is in that. I'm going to eat it every single day. And what I would propose to you is, while that's all right to a certain extent, try and expand your horizons a little bit, because we're going to a lifelong way of eating, which means you're not probably going to want to eat oatmeal every single day for the rest of your life. And this, again, learning curve is like this right now, right? It's really steep. So don't worry about it so much right now. Just keep that in mind as we go through time, as you go into the future. Like, be curious and keep looking for recipes and for different things. And don't be afraid to put in the work. If you want to try something, to calculate those calories out so that you know what's in them. As you start to become aware of this, as you start to calculate your calories, don't just think about calories, think about nutrition content. And this is where using one of those apps like on your phone or on your computer can be really helpful, because a lot of them will also do nutrient content for you. They'll say how many vitamins and minerals that you're taking in, how much fat, how much carbohydrate, how much protein, and that can be really useful. So if you're someone like me, you may want to consider, instead of the pen and paper, to consider getting something on your phone and giving that a try. A question I also ask myself is, what does the food give back to me? Does the food give anything back to me? I have a hard time with sugar. And so when I'm thinking about it, it's like, is this giving anything back to me right now? Or is it just calories? Is there anything else in this food that's good for me? So that's sometimes a good way to think about it as well. So tips and tricks: focus on nutrient-rich food as much as you can. When you're putting together, when you're thinking to yourself, oh, I'm feeling hungry, it's time for breakfast, it's time for lunch, think about nutrient-rich food. What does it give back to you? Easy ways to decrease the amount of calories you're eating and maybe not notice it at all is to use small serving dishes and utensils. And there's a story I like to tell about a study that they did, and they were studying how many calories people would eat based on how big the serving size was, how big their dishes and utensils would be. And they did it on all kinds of different groups of people, but they actually did it with registered dietitians. And they told the registered dietitians that that's what they were studying. And they had two groups, of course. They had one group that had large plates. They sent them through a buffet line. There's one group that had large plates. They knew the purpose of the study was to test how big their serving sizes were. And the people in the group who had the larger plates, registered dietitians who knew what they were testing, took larger serving sizes than the people who had the smaller plates and the smaller serving utensils. So that tip is actually super useful. Don't eat your dinner on a dinner sized plate that's this big. Try eating it on a salad sized plate instead. If you're going to have some ice cream, don't eat it in a big bowl. Get yourself, I eat my ice cream actually in a coffee cup, one of the little coffee cups, not one of the great big Yetis or anything like that, but like an actual little coffee cup, right? Because then your serving sizes are smaller and you don't even notice it. Drink lots of water throughout the day. Have a full glass of water, infused if you would like, because I know not everybody likes the taste of water, with each meal. When you start feeling hungry or snacky, have a glass of water, because I am here to tell you that low level dehydration feels a lot like hunger in your body. So you're not actually thirsty yet, but you have low level dehydration going on, which a lot of us do. Have a glass of water, hydrate yourself. Eat consistently throughout the day. Try not to do the thing where you don't eat anything for breakfast, then you eat a tiny little lunch, and then when you get to dinner, you're starving to death, so you have a huge meal at dinner. Try and just spread that out a little bit more evenly throughout the day, because that'll help keep your metabolism going throughout the day and have your body less likely to try and hold on to what you're consuming. Eat consciously as much as you can. Try not to look at your phone. Try not to look at your computer. Try not to eat while you're driving. Try and sit down and have a meal without any of those distractions, so you can think about what you're doing. Put it away, out of sight, out of mind. This works so well for me. If I leave something on the counter that I don't want to eat, I'm going to eat twice as much of it as if I just simply put it into the cupboard. It's like 2 feet difference, but because I can't see it, it makes a big difference. Decrease the portion size of high calorie foods and increase the portion size of low calorie foods. So like, I don't know if you noticed the taco example, but I like to, rather than having a taco shell with my tacos, I make a taco salad. And my plate looks like it's twice as full as the rest of my family's plates, but I'm actually taking in the same, if not less calories than they are, just by that one little swap. Or just have a little bit of tortilla and have a salad on the side. That works too. So no problem foods in your home. I refer to them as landmines, and you want your house to be your safe place. So I know this is tough if you've got kids or spouses or other people in your house that like to eat things that maybe are a problem food for you. So my recommendation for you is, if there's a problem food for you, if there's a food that if it's in the house, you're going to eat it and you're probably going to eat too much of it, then find a way to get that out of your house. Find a way with the people that are in your house that might enjoy those foods, for them to still include those foods in their diet, but for them not to make a problem for you. So maybe smaller package size of something. So if that person wants to have whatever, fill in the blank, maybe just think, I'm going to get a small package. It's going to be just for them. Or if I like it and I want to have some, don't get a big Costco size package of Doritos. If that's your issue, get a little one, and not a whole package of little ones, just one little one, like from the grocery store or from a convenience store, so that there's not so much, so that you don't have landmines in your own home, because you don't want to use up all of your willpower. And we're going to go over what that is. So you don't use up all your willpower on stuff that you can control. And limit exposure to environmental cues. We'll go over environmental cues a little bit later, but I think you probably know what that is. That's stuff you see on social media. It's stuff you see on signs as you're driving around town. It's stuff that you see on the TV if you're watching the TV. It's food that you've left out on the counter. It's the fact that you always eat lunch at noon. It's those kind of environmental cues. So limit your exposure to those as much as possible. Think about those days when you're super busy, right? You're really, really busy. Maybe you're cleaning out the garage or something like that. You're physically active. You're moving around. Think about how much you eat on those days, because you're not just sitting and looking at a computer or a screen that might have all kinds of cues that you should eat or that you're hungry, right? So limit your exposure to those things. Okay, so what can you get for 300 calories? This is just kind of another way to look at, we're not looking at, you know, how do you modify the plate so that you have the same size of food but less calories. What we're looking at here is what's an equivalent, like breakfast in this example for 300 calories as versus different food choice for 300 calories. So this is not going to be a surprise how this looks. There's going to be a heck of a lot more food on the plate if you make healthy choices. So look at all that food you can get. And I'm sorry for the food porn. And that's what I call it. I said food porn because this is like not necessarily stuff that I would deliberately expose yourself to all the time. So pardon me doing this to you right at lunchtime. Here's another example, right? Isn't that crazy? What about 400 calories of Panda Express? So hopefully you can see, and this is making the point that those food choices, that healthy eating is about making food choices. And we make hundreds of those every day, whether it's on purpose, consciously or unconsciously, but we make them every day. So as much as we can prepare ourselves for that and make good choices, we'll do better. So review your food log and look at it from the last week. Again, we're not judging this right now because we weren't trying to make any changes. What we're trying to do is get an idea of what you were currently eating. So look at your food log and circle a few of the foods that are high in calories. It might be pop, it might be chips, it might be pasta, it might be, you know, any of the things on the list there. And then as you circle these, there is such a thing as a high calorie food that is also high in nutrients. So it's high in calories, yes, but it also gives you back a lot. A great example of that is avocados, whole grains, nuts, all of those kinds of things. They are technically high calorie foods, but they are also high nutrient foods, and they have a place in your diet and they're good for you. So when you think about the foods that maybe you'd like to substitute or change or get out of your house, or whatever the answer might be that you were thinking that maybe is resonating with you, maybe you want to choose the foods that are high in calories and low in nutrients, if possible. Maybe just a little bit less. So think about your food and fitness log for this week. So we're going to up the ante. Like I said, what I want you to do is the same thing as you did last year, plus the portion, or sorry, last year, what you did last week, plus the portion size and the calories. So if that's too much to do the portion size and the calories in 1 week, I will give you the out for this week to say, I'm just doing the food and the portion size because the calories is too much. But if you can, try and do all three. So we're not just writing down what we've eaten, we are tracking the portion size and we're tracking how many calories it is as well. And then the last thing is to set a calorie goal for yourself. And again, if you don't like the word goal, maybe focus might be better, because don't be confused. If you are eating quote unquote normally and healthfully, naturally the amount of calories you eat one day is going to be more, and the amount of calories you eat the next day is going to be less. So don't feel like you have to hit that calorie goal right on the button every single day. Really try and use it in conjunction with how your body is feeling, special events that might be happening, anything else that's going on in your life or in your body. Try and respect that and use it as one tool, not the be all and end all of your existence. Same as with the weight, the calorie goal is not the holy grail. It's really not. It's a ballpark, more or less, that you want to be in at this point. On average, it's what you do most of the time that makes a difference, not the one-off kind of things that happen occasionally. So you want to eat within that calorie goal most days, but it's okay if you go outside of it, at least on this point, at this point, some of the days, because we're really still getting a feel for how our body responds to it. So you don't want to be too strict. If you say 2100 was my goal and I decreased it to 1600 and I felt hungry all the time, then by all means eat some more food, decrease or increase your calorie level, and then see how it treats your weight. Because remember, you are an individual, you are not an average person. We're just giving you a place to start. Where do we get portion and calories? Oh, isn't that the $2,000 question, right? I'm going to go into this a little bit, a couple of presentations from now, a little bit more. But as far as portion size goes, it's not a set portion size that I'm looking for. I'm looking for how much you are actually eating. So whatever you put on your plate. So in order to get there, if you're first starting with, if this is your first time ever measuring your serving size, it might be a good idea to get out some serving cups and serving spoons, like your teaspoons, your measuring cups, right? And actually measure what's going on your plate. So you can say, I had 1.5 cups of pasta and 2 tablespoons of sauce. Or I had 3 cups of lettuce and 2 tablespoons of dressing and 1/2 cup of tomatoes, right? So you actually have to put the work in. And then to look up the calories is a separate step. I feel like it's important for us all to get a feel of how many calories we're actually taking in. And I'm going to float the idea to you of using some sort of computerized calorie tracking app. You can, if you would like to, send me a message and I will send you a Calorie King calorie counter book. It's a little book. It's about, 4 inches wide by about 6 inches tall. So it's small enough to go into a purse or a back pocket. And I can send that to you if you don't want to use your phone or a computer to look up the calories and you don't eat all packaged foods, because packaged foods will have the nutrition facts on it. Then I can send that to you. So just let me know. Yep, food scale. Yeah, food scale. Mm-hmm. Yes, you can do portion size and carbs. Absolutely. Again, I'm going to refer to it as calories for purposes of the presentation for brevity's sake. But if you're doing carbs, if you're doing points, if you're doing fat grams, all of that works instead of calories. Okay, so that's fine. Portion size and carbs is fine. Yep. Yes, please. Sometimes MyFitnessPal doesn't have the exact food. So Misty, yeah, send me an email with your address so I know where to send it. Yeah, that's a good thing to touch on really briefly too. If you're using one of those computerized systems, they may not have the exact food in there. At this point, it is okay to estimate. It is okay to make a substitution. So if you went to Panda Express and you got the whatever, fill in the blank, and MyFitnessPal doesn't have that exact thing, you can look up Chinese food and then whatever it is that you chose, and then put the serving size and use that instead of that exact thing. Because a lot of the time you can find a substitution. You can find a food that's going to have the same general number of calories, but it's not the exact thing that you ate, and that's okay to do. Food scale tells calories because you'll see on the nutrition facts label or on the computer when you look it up. Like if you are doing raspberries, for example, if you put those raspberries on the scale, it's going to say you have 21 grams of raspberries. Then when you go onto the computer or you look on your Calorie King book, it's going to say raspberries have 5 calories per gram. So then you'll say, I did 21 grams, it has 5 calories per gram, 21 times 5 is the number of calories. And I totally don't know if that's accurate with raspberries. I'm just using it for a source of examples. So good question. Hopefully that answers the question. So here is your pep talk, because I'm your hype girl, right? Here's your pep talk for a successful food and fitness log, because we're really trying to get in the habit of doing that right now, because it's really, 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 really important as we go out of the gate that we actually know where we're at with what we're taking in. So we need to commit to it. I need to commit to it. I need to not look at my food and fitness log and be like, I'm going to do it later. I need to do it right then. And I need to do it while it's fresh in my mind. So I'm not going, what did I eat on Tuesday? I can't remember what I ate on Tuesday. I need to do it right then so it's fresh in my mind. So that, a lot of it, I refer to it as jumping in as versus leaning in. So you're not really thinking about it anymore. You've decided I am 100% for sure going to do that. And I'm going to do it more days than I don't do it. If you have something come up and you can't get one day done, that is okay. Remember, we're not about perfection. We're not perfect people. Nobody's perfect, right? We're about doing the right thing, or the thing that our goal is, our area of focus, most of the time. So try not to get down on yourself if there's one day you just can't do it, right? If you do it the other 6 days, you are golden. Okay, if you can do it 7 days, even better. Record as you go through the day as much as you can so that you know, especially now that we're to the serving sizes and the calories and needing to write that down. And then write down any, here again, I'm not too worried about deliberate activity exercise this week. I think it's enough to add the calories and the portion size for this week. If you want to write it down, great. But you don't necessarily need to do that this week. And make sure and record your weight one time this week so that we can start getting that trend going on the weight graph. Remember, it's not judgment about where you're starting. We're looking for the trend from week to week. And so we have to do once a week, as long as that's not too huge of a trigger for you. And I talked about that last time with the weight. So I highly recommend taking the weight once a week, same place, same time, same scale, just so that we can start getting that trend going to know if the changes that we're making are making a difference. You have recommendations for when you're on a trip. We have a future webinar where we'll talk about how to manage that. But recommendations for when you're on a trip is you are figuring out what works for you. It can be helpful to, again, have something you can do when you're on your phone, or have a portable little food and fitness log that can go in your purse or whatever the thing is. If you're going on a trip for a couple of days, and you know there's no way you're going to be able to track your calories during that time, then maybe you're just going to write down the portion size of what you eat. And then when you get back to a computer at the end of your trip, then you go through and you calculate the calories. That can work too. It's not ideal, but it can work too. So try and be flexible with yourself, and maybe just sit down and think to yourself. Just have that deliberate thought process. Okay, since my area of focus is I want to track my food, I know this trip is coming up. So how will I be able to track my food when I'm on my trip? And then just write down what some of your ideas are there. And if you want to talk through that with me, or if you want to set up with a health coach, just remember those health coaches are available to you, and they can talk you through those kinds of things. They can, spend the time to actually have you verbalize and bounce ideas off of them. So that's available. Don't forget. So troubleshooting is always important. This is a great example of troubleshooting. I have a trip coming up. What do I do? So think about it. Think about why it's going to be difficult, or why it was difficult and you didn't do it. And what's one way that you can overcome that barrier. For the weight, once a week. I don't recommend daily weighing just because there's so much change from day to day based on what's happening for you. So my recommendation is once a week. So setting yourself up for success. This is learning to eat in the real world with the tools available to all of us. We just use it differently depending on the person. This is overwhelming. I put maybe overwhelming because I know we're all in different places, and some of you are already here. You're already tracking your food. You're already doing the calorie counting and all of that. And it's old hat. So maybe it's not overwhelming to you, but chances are, if this is your first time, this is a little overwhelming. Like I said, learning curve is really steep right now. So when you start to feel overwhelmed, just like last time, take a step back, find your area of focus, and just take it one step at a time. How can I get a little closer to that goal? If I'm trying to track my calories and I'm trying to figure out how do I do that? How do I do that from a serving size or from a scale? One step at a time. See what you can do today to try and figure that out. It will get easier. I promise it will get easier. You will get better at it. It will take far less time. It's just like when you're learning a new skill, like when you're learning to ride a bike. It is not easy when you first try to, it's frustrating, right? I don't know about you, but when I was learning to ride a bike, there were tears involved, for sure. There were tears involved. I hope you don't cry over your food and fitness log, but if you do, it's okay. It's overwhelming. Just take a step back, take a deep breath, and then break it into smaller steps if you need to. Experience equals ease. Give yourself the time to learn. As adults, a lot of us are very comfortable and we haven't had to learn anything in quite a while. We're out of practice with it. Think about a child learning to walk, learning to stand. It takes practice, and the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. Experience equals ease, and it is absolutely worthwhile to learn to do this. I've said it multiple times. Don't expect perfection from yourself. Just improvement. Just get a little bit better at it than you were the day before. Use your scale taking your weight like a speedometer, right? A tool to know where you are and how fast you're going. It does not define you. It's one tool in your tool bag. I was reading the comment in the chat about using the Fitbit food tracking app, and I think Fitbit is an awesome food tracking app. I think it works really well. If that one works for you and you like it, absolutely use the Fitbit app. Take daily weights for a week and divide it by 7. Yeah, absolutely. That's like basic math, right? Taking the average of all of them. If you want to take your weight daily and it doesn't throw you for a loop, then yeah, take all 7 of them, divide it by 7, or 7 days worth of weights, add them together, divided by 7, and that gives you your average weight for the week. So as I did last week, I will follow up with an email, but this week you're going to set or adjust your goals. So hopefully you're going to adjust your goal a little bit for the tracking to say, I'm going to track the serving size, what I'm eating, serving size, and calories. I'm going to take my weight at least once this week, and I'm going to calculate my calorie goals. Some of you may have different areas of focus or goals that you're working on, and that's fine. Just try not to overwhelm yourself. Small steps. Whatever you decide to do, actually do it. Don't just lean in, jump in. Commit to it. I'm going to do it. Do what you've decided to do to meet your goals. If you need to, print out another week of the food and fitness log. And here again, bring your binder. If you don't have a binder, that's fine. Sometimes it's really nice to print out the slides, have your weight chart, have your food and fitness log all in one place like that. And you can organize that however works best for you. The slides are available on the website. You can load those if you like, the slides we just went over today. And I will send out the recording for this as well. So we're going to end with a little Calvin, as usual, as per my usual. And Calvin says, wow, it really snowed last night. Isn't it wonderful? Hobbes says, everything familiar has disappeared. The world looks brand new. Calvin says, a new year, a fresh, clean start. It's like having a big white sheet of paper to draw on, a day full of possibilities. It's a magical world, Hobbes, old buddy. Let's go exploring. So think about it as much as you can like that. You're exploring. It's something new. It's something hopefully exciting that you're going to find out new things this week, and you're going to try new things this week. So when you start to feel overwhelmed, see if maybe you can change your thought process. Say, I'm exploring something new. I'm trying something new. It's exciting, and I'm going to learn new things this week, and it's going to be wonderful. All right, so what questions? My goal was to walk the dog 3 times. The weather didn't agree, but we worked out at the gym twice at least. Yeah. Remember to adjust your goals if you need to. Every one of you on this is an adult, right? So if you said, I'm going to walk the dog 3 times this week, the weather didn't agree with you, so you went to the gym instead, that is totally okay. No problem. In fact, good job. You get a gold star because you were able to think outside the box, right? These are your goals right here, but there was something that got in the way. So on the fly, I adjusted it and did something different. That's great. Good job. I'm gonna make these bigger and see if I missed any questions. Suggestions for the best veggie noodles so I don't have to make a bunch that are not tasty. I'm going to tell you that the internet is your best friend. It is your best friend. I use my phone all the time when I'm cooking. I just go on and I type in best zucchini noodles, and I'll come up with, there'll be a whole list of things. So I'll look at a couple, 3. I'll look at the reviews for them, and then I'll choose one and I'll try it. I've heard fantastic results for zucchini noodles made out of zucchini. So that's what they're called, zoodles. instead of noodles, because they're made out of zucchini. And that's a spiralizer attachment where you can make those at home. And I know a lot of times you can actually buy them frozen from the store. I was talking with someone earlier this week, and they mentioned that Costco had some frozen zoodles that you could just buy. You just pop them in some hot water and voila, there you go. Super One sells them fresh. I like it. Gotten some cauliflower noodles, but they had more calories than the regular ones had. Really? Wonder what they put in those cauliflower noodles. Fat and salt, probably. Yeah. Any questions, rather than me scrolling up through all of the comments, are there any questions that I didn't answer that you would still like for me to answer? Nope. Seeing none. Okay, everyone. I really hope that you have a fabulous week this week. Let me know if I can help with anything. Please send me that email if you want one of those Calorie King books. I'll need to know your address so that I can mail it to you. Or if you have any questions about getting in contact with a health coach, I can help facilitate that for you. Just let me know if there's anything that I can assist with. And have a great week, and we will see you back here again next Thursday. Bye, everybody.